Turn off your lights. Make sure your doors and windows are locked. Things are about to get spooky. How the hell did that happen? By Darkness Storytime. Hello everyone, my name is A, and I'm a 43-year-old man originally from Chicago, Illinois, living in Boston at the moment. I usually read these stories on Reddit and even narrate them, but never had an actual experience until now. I'm here to give you guys my first encounter dealing with a glitch in the Matrix. I'm a construction worker and pretty much a plumber by trade. I usually have a super early morning start. I remember one early October morning in 2023. I got up late, so I'm rushing to work. For context, I drive a shitbox car for work, and the radio had broke a week prior from this incident. So, I was using my JBL portable speaker to listen to music while heading to work. Now mind you, I have the speaker and water sitting on the passenger seat. I remember looking down at the digital clock on the radio for a split second to see the time when a guy out of nowhere merges into my lane without using his blinker before the light changed, causing me to abruptly slam on my brakes. Everything that was in the passenger seat ended up falling on the floor, which I watched and heard fall onto the floor when the car made a complete stop. I also tried to grab the water because I didn't want the water to spill all over the floor. Now, if everyone knows, the Poland Spring gallons of water have those flat caps that easily pop off, so that's why I wanted to grab it before it fell. At the time, I wasn't listening to any music. Mind you that to turn off the device, there's a little on and off switch on the back of the portable speaker. I always leave it off until I get onto the highway. Quick side note, the switch takes a bit of effort to switch on and off because it's fairly new. Anyways, after what felt like 3 minutes later, the light changes and I go a couple of blocks to jump onto the highway. Now I'm driving and feeling down on the passenger floor to pick up the water, the speaker, and everything that fell. I'm gripping the wheel with my eyes focused on the road. I'm still feeling on the floor, wondering why I can't find the speaker and a gallon of water. Tell me why I glance over at the seat. Both the gallon of water and the speaker are on the seat. Now remember, I tried to prevent the water from falling, but I didn't catch it in time. I never even touched either of them. So how the hell did they end up back on the seat? I'm not crazy, nor do I suffer any mental health issues, so for the life of me, I don't know how they end up right back on the seat. To give insult to injury, the speaker blurred out "connected" when I knew that damn thing was switched off. I got to work and sat there for a moment trying to figure out how and why. So, till this very day, I cannot tell you what the hell happened. There's also a link in the description box / show notes if you guys are interested here in this narrator. Every year, on the anniversary of our son's disappearance, my husband and I return to the mountain where he was last seen to continue the search. My husband long ago stopped expecting to find anything, but I always take a few minutes to slip away and visit the big tree that he's been buried under. Glitch Replay by Anonymoose. Not sure how to classify this, but it's definitely one of the weirdest sets of experiences I've had, largely because my family experienced it as well. The first time it happened, or we noticed it happened, was about a year ago. My boyfriend and I were home alone. My family was supposed to be out for the next few hours, so we were just beginning intimate activities when we heard them return, the door opening, loudly as always, and the muffled voices of my mom and brother. We leapt up and scrambled to throw on our clothes, super confused as to why they were home 4 hours early. A few minutes later, we headed downstairs. It was quiet. The noises had stopped. I don't know when. And I realized no one had returned. It was just silence. My partner and I were both promptly freaked out. We had both clearly heard them get home, heard them talking, the door opening and shutting. I told my mom about it the next day. About a month later, I was out for a walk. When I came back, my mom was a bit freaked out. She asked if I had come back and knocked at some point. No. Apparently she had heard heavy banging on the door. Loud enough she heard it from upstairs and came down to let me in, only for no one to be there. Keep in mind, we have a Ring doorbell. Anyone at the door, or any loud noises, would have picked up, which they were not. There were also multiple instances of us hearing knocking to various degrees of intensity, only for no one to be there. Those would be easily to write off as maybe potential paranoia, but in many cases, my dog reacted as well and started barking, which he never does except when someone is at the door. The latest noticeable incident was about a week ago. I was at home alone doing schoolwork when I heard the doorknob shaking like it was being unlocked. Our door's been practically broken for the last few years and needs a lot of force to open. Oh, my mom's home early, but the shaking didn't stop. I snuck to the door and looked through the peephole. No one was there, but I could still hear it shaking. It was strong and clear enough someone had to be there. I worried someone might be trying to break in despite the Ring doorbell presence, maybe crouching out of sight of the peephole. I grabbed my phone, keypad ready to dial 911 if needed, and crept to the window in the side room where the front door was visible. No one. A few seconds later, it stopped. My family and I know our house. We've been here for the last 16 years. My mother is a single mom who only just returned to work this year, and I've been in online school for the last few years and stay almost entirely at home due to medical issues. We know our house and how it sounds. Everyone I tell these stories to frustratingly tells us that it's just the wind or the house settling, but it's not. It just isn't. It's very clearly the sound of a person or people. We know how our house sounds, and this isn't that. It doesn't feel malicious or unsettling necessarily. Even though it freaks us out, I don't think it's a ghost or something either. My mom certainly doesn't. But it's weird enough that even she's acknowledged the strangeness. It feels more like a time replay, if that makes any sense. Certainly Matrix glitchy in nature. I'm not sure. I'll try to get a video when it happens again, but it's hard to tell it's not real until you open the door to no one or come downstairs to an empty house. I know it's not the most insane story, but it's creepy to my family and I, and thank you for listening. Understandably, my loving family were a little concerned when I told them I need a routine operation to remove a tiny parasite worm from my brain. After the operation, I regained consciousness in a disposable test tube and discovered that I wasn't quite the person I thought I was. Instructions appeared out of nowhere by Lenny68. Alright, so this is a silly glitch. I just got into cold brew and found out here on Reddit that Trader Joe's used to make an instant cold brew. It's currently not in production, but a few people recommend a good sub. A few people know that there were no directions on the jar. I went to Amazon and read the reviews, and quite a number of the reviews said there were no instructions. When I got the jar, I looked all over the label and no instructions. I looked several times and saw what type of coffee beans it was made from, but not to the ratio powder to water. Foreshadowing, I mixed way too much coffee. I thought it was weird from them to not have instructions, so I went to the website, and again, no instructions. So a couple of weeks ago, I'm on Trader Joe's subreddit, and someone mentioned the instant cold brew again. I said I liked it, but I wish there were instructions. Someone said there are and told me the instructions are indeed there. I was like, well, there aren't any on mine. A lot of others said the same. I thought maybe they had a newer jar or something. Cut to today, I'm leaving for vacation this week, and something told me to grab the jar and put it in my purse because otherwise I'd forget it. I get out of my desk drawer and look at the jar, and guess what I see? You guessed it, the instructions, plain as day. In fact, they were right above the blur about the type of beans they were. Those instructions were not there. I looked many times. I'm thinking maybe this is subliminal. Like, maybe because I read that the instructions were not there, my mind blocked out the whole thing. And then when someone said they were there, I could see the instructions. That or the multiverse is having a laugh at my expense. With a curt flourish, I signed my name on the dotted line, allowing the rich family to hunt me to my death in exchange for mine being given $10 million. When I was brought to the secluded grounds, the billionaire's son barely looked out from his phone before saying, "I don't want to do this today. Just make the dogs do it." Parallel Dimension by Almost-Jaded. I have a lot of weird things happen to me, some later explained and some not. But the all-time craziest was never explained, and it happened again tonight. And a friend said I should put it on Reddit into the sub, so here I am. The first time, 2006. I'm living in Henderson/Green Valley, southeast Las Vegas. I volunteered to pick up my friend's girlfriend from a party in North Las Vegas. He lost his driver's license a while back because drinking and driving is bad, okay? I don't know the North Town very well at this point in my Vegas experience, but I pick her up and drop her off many times. I know where I'm going. At one point in this journey, I'm northbound on Martin Luther King, need to turn left onto Cheyenne. Now, Martin Luther King and Cheyenne is a major intersection. A steepish hill, 4 to 6 lanes in both directions. There's a library there, hard to miss. And then I go to Craig Road, north of Cheyenne Road, and I never passed it. Annoyed, turned around, paid attention this time, got to Washington, well south of Cheyenne, never passed Cheyenne. What the fuck? Turned around again. Notice that the road signs are blue instead of green and smaller than the big green hanging light boxes that Vegas uses. Maybe North Vegas does it differently. Whatever, I'm running late now, and there's Craig Road again. What the actual fuck? The fourth time I drove back and forth between Craig and Washington, I called my friend. This is a different route than I usually take, but for fuck's sakes, I know my way around town. He tells me I'm an idiot. Just look for the library. I drive up to Craig's Road again. Cheyenne Road does not fucking exist. I turned around and go south. There's Washington. Never pass Cheyenne Road. Over it, take Washington out to I-15, go north, there's Cheyenne Road exit. Take exit, proceed west, and of course, I cross the intersection of Cheyenne and Martin Luther King. There's the library, and the signs are in big green boxy things as always. I was 3 hours late picking her up, and the total delay was about an hour. To this day, very few people believe me. I was even accused of picking her up on time and spending 3 hours of having intimacy with my best friend's girl, and that didn't happen. Nobody believes that I spent an hour driving up and down Martin Luther King Boulevard and showed up 3 hours late. To this day, if I'm late somewhere, one of my close friends will ask if the road signs were blue and laugh at me. Can't say I blame them. In between, this has happened again, but in small ways. I usually write it off as I zoned out or missed a turn. No major time loss or weird phenomenon that stands out. I don't claim they're reoccurrences. Tonight, back in December the 29th of 2017. I drive for Uber Eats in my off time. Stick to Henderson/Green Valley most of the time to avoid dropping in the Strip. I deliver to the neighborhoods known as Anthem and Seven Hills probably a dozen times a week or so. Anthem Highlands, Inspirita, whatever. Those areas if anyone reading this or listening is a local. Tonight I had to drop off in Anthem Highlands. Eastern Avenue southbound splits. You stay left if you want to go to Anthem, and at the fork, Eastern turns into Anthem Boulevard. If you stay right, Eastern gets downsides and winds its way to Seven Hills. To get to Anthem Highlands for this trip, I go left. Anthem Boulevard is 2 lanes in each direction, 45 miles per hour speed limit. The first intersection of note is Reunion Boulevard. It's a traffic light with a proper left turn lane. The second light is Anthem Club Drive. Same deal, but right now there's a bunch of crazy construction at that intersection. Has been for months. That all matters in a minute. I make my drop, no problem. I head back exactly the reverse way I came. Except now, what was supposed to be Anthem Boulevard is a single lane 35 miles per hour. I'm supposed to be on a 2-lane at 45 miles per hour. And I feel lost. But I'm going north, so I'll get where I'm going, whatever. Drive for what feels way too long. I don't see Anthem Club. After a few more minutes, I check my nav on my phone. It says I'm coming up on Reunion. That can't be. I passed no construction, no traffic lights. And it says I'm right on top of Reunion. But there's no stoplight. I see a cross street. Minor street, 3-way stop crossing the road I'm on. I read the small sign, Reunion. Instant flashbacks to the Martin Luther King/Cheyenne thing. I'm freaking out. I know I'm on Anthem Boulevard, but this isn't the Anthem Boulevard I know. The road takes a sharp left, I round the bend, and I'm out of northbound East Avenue in the far fast lane. Exactly as it should be leaving Anthem. Everything looks normal. I look in my rearview mirror. It's the entrance of Anthem, pictured perfectly. Picture perfect and decidedly not where I just came from. No noticeable time lost this time. I honestly wonder if I turned around and spent an hour in the alternate Anthem, maybe I would have been able to measure it, or not. I wasn't going back. Took the rest of the night off, called some people, posted here. Sorry for the novel, hope it was worth a listen. It's not fiction. When my little sister clawed at her throat and gasped for breath, I started Googling frantically. She still persisted after I shoved the Wikipedia page in her face and said, "It says here peanuts aren't nuts, they are legumes." I witnessed people frozen in time by Anonymoose. I'm really not sure where to talk about this, but my mind is absolutely blown by something I witnessed a few days ago. My brain simply can't make sense of what I saw. I had been working at a busy trade show for a few days, and the last day I picked up a van rental and was driving to the venue. Business as usual, and I finished a call with my boss as pulling up to the venue. The last stretch of road before the parking lot is typically very busy, with cars pulling up to drop off people and people walking across the road from surface level parking lots. As I make one of two turns, I immediately see three businessmen frozen in place in the middle of the road crossing in front of me. They literally have zero motion, as if they were statues. Some had briefcases, others their suit jacket open, and one was visibly half turned around smiling as if he was laughing in the middle of a conversation. It was windy, yet no jacket moved. Those briefcases were suspended in air but never swung on their handles. The one guy smiling, gesturing back, had his legs open like the Beatles on the Abbey Road cover. It was so bizarre because around this frozen group of three, other cars were passing by and people already on the sidewalk were in motion. This felt like an eternity, but was probably within 4 seconds. Motion suddenly resumed on this group. It was like someone pressed play on a remote. They kept walking across the street to the venue. The guy who was turned around to someone resumed chatting it up with his colleagues as he crossed the street. Briefcases and jackets and clothes moved and shifted as expected. I was baffled. I had seen weird things like this posted on TikTok of birds frozen in air or ladies walking on a sidewalk that appeared to be glitched, and always assumed it to be a hoax or a clever editing. But once I saw this, my mind hasn't been the same since. I simply can't comprehend what I saw. Was I visualizing these people before they appeared at my destination when they resumed? Were they indeed frozen? Did anyone else see this happen? Was I simply too tired from working this trade show? And even if so, how did I see something frozen for so long before they essentially resumed motion? My head is spinning, kicking myself for not putting in a dash cam in the rental vehicle. Closest thing I can search that comes close would be this clip where a frozen lady resumes walking. In that clip, the same questions are brought up. Hair's not moving, the clothes are not flowing, even though that woman is in mid-stride. But with my experience, it was a group of 3 people, and all of them were held up in time until I drove close enough for them to resume motion. I'm interested if anyone has a similar experience or could know what this could mean. I'll also have a link to the video the OP was talking about in the description box for you guys. Your child seems perfectly fine. For an extra fee, we can make modifications like changing her eyes or hair color, things like that, said the doctor to my pregnant wife. How much will it cost to give her an illness that will make her dependent on us for her entire life? My wife asked. Small Kitchen, Big Problems by IndustryGuys. My kitchen is not large. There is a main island counter, behind that is a sink and a prep counter. To the right is a small counter where I leave my coffee and coffee maker. My routine is set. After a full glass of water every morning, I start the coffee. I place 2 green tea bags in a red plastic cup that I let steep all morning, and that is my afternoon iced tea. This morning, I ripped open one green tea pouch, and in the canister I saw another tea bag already out of the pouch. I couldn't tell for sure that if the latter was green tea, as the tag was different. I thought I should open another green tea pouch just to be sure. I didn't have my glasses nearby, so I couldn't read the label. Eventually, I decided to put the 2 tea bags I had into the cup. The water in the electric pot was just about ready to boil. A minute or so later, it was ready, and I poured the hot water into the French press for 2 cups. One for me and one for my wife, who was milling about. I then went to pour the hot water into the plastic cup to make my tea. The cup was empty, no tea bags. The empty pouch from the first tea bag that I had opened was on the counter next to the cup. My wife says she didn't touch my tea or cup, and I'm confident she didn't. We looked in a couple of other cups in the kitchen, and they were all empty. We retraced my and her steps that took place in that few minutes I was preparing to start for my day. We emptied the garbage, which was already pretty empty because Tuesday is trash day. We spent an hour trying to find the 2 tea bags. No luck. I know I opened 1 tea pouch, and I'm sure that I combined it with the second because I thought quite a bit about whether it was green tea or another kind. We never found the tea bags. Either my mind is playing tricks on me, or there was a glitch in the matrix. I prefer to believe the latter because I have spent the past 6 hours frantically all over the former. I know that I had 2 tea bags in my hand, and I know it. Maybe I didn't put them in the plastic cup like I do every damn day. If I didn't, then where are they? It's a very small kitchen, and I have torn it apart looking for 2 loose tea bags. And no luck. The girl looked up at me from her hospital bed and said, "Thank you for saving me, doctor. I don't want to die anymore." My stomach sank with the news I had to come to bring her. She had taken too much, and now there was nothing anyone could do to save her from dying slowly over the next few days, while her organs shut down from the poison. Lowest stake glitch ever. Piece of bread. By No Dark 8446. My friend Layla, 27 female, and I, 34 female, were on a trip with a few other friends. The other friends were poking around a gift shop, but Layla wanted to smoke. I went outside with her. She was leaning against the wall of the building, and I was facing on the other side of the sidewalk so people could pass. Just to her left was a doorway to an apartment building. There were no windows above until the 2nd floor or next to it. There was a little decorative ledge, but there were those barbs on it. Are those there to keep birds from sitting/nesting there? I've never understood them. A guy with his hands in his pockets walks between us, and a moment later a half-eaten baguette falls onto the middle of the sidewalk with a thunk. It fell straight down in front of the doorway. Lyle and I just looked back and forth between each of us, the baguette and the sky. We both confirmed we saw it drop from the head height of the guy who walked by, because we were on either side of the sidewalk. We could plainly see that he had not taken his hands out of his pocket, so he didn't drop it. There were no windows until much further up, 2 floors above the doorway. And to either side of the doorway, we both saw it drop straight down, so it didn't come out of a window from a side. The little ledge with the anti-bird spikes was not wide enough for the baguette to be up there, plus it would have to be on top of the spikes, which I would have noticed because I was looking at it prior to the bread dropping. Yes, I was absolutely contemplating whether birds saw them the way we see barbed wire. Yes, I was completely sober. Even if I had somehow missed it, there was no wind or vibration, like someone closing a door hard to knock it down. After questioning our sanity and the quantum place in the universe for just a minute, we decided to touch the baguette. That shit was like a baguette-shaped rock. On a stale scale of 1 to 10, this one went to 11. It was also dry even though there had been rain earlier. So when/where did it come from? It was not when/where we were. We told our friends and they gave varying responses of, "Whoa, weird," but largely brushed it off. For months after the trip, we'd just be like, "You remember the baguette?" "Yeah." "Okay, just making sure," and then go back to whatever we were doing. Lowest steak glitch ever, but fuck if I don't think about that piece of bread all the time. Mostly I wonder about who was eating it. What was the other half of that glitch? I'm going back to that city with family in a couple weeks, and I want to go back and look for an explanation. Is that weird? Every night at 3 a.m., an unknown caller calls my phone. Finally, deciding to answer, I shouted a brief, "What's your problem?" but quickly froze when I heard a distant echo of my own voice. We lost about 4 hours of time in 30 seconds. By Thrifty Gal 177. I'm not sure if this is considered a glitch, a time slip, or just delusion, but this is something that happened to me and my family that we can't explain. Summer of 2011, in the car was me, 19 at the time, my sister, dad, and stepmom. We were on our way to a campsite. We heard our family join us. My uncle and Nan, both arriving separately, called us saying they were setting off. Did we need anything from the shop and to let them know their arrival time? We were over halfway there. They would be arriving about 3 hours after us. We carried on driving, switching radio stations, and went through a tunnel. When we came out, the phone was ringing again. It was Nan asking where we were, kinda relieved that she got a hold of us. My Nan and uncle had already arrived at the campsite. My dad said, "Oh, so you're already there? Save us a picture then." And my Nan responded, "Where have you been if you're still on your way?" The conversation didn't make sense. My dad got frustrated and said, "What do you mean, where have you been? You just spoke to us." My Nan told us, "We've been calling you because we couldn't get a hold of you." My stepmom pointed to the time on the radio. About 4 hours had passed. 4 minutes had passed in 30 seconds. My dad ended the call with my Nan, and for a moment we were silent. My sister asked what was going on. My dad said that time must have changed when we had changed the radio station and our family was playing a dumb joke. Our phone showed time had passed. Again, silence. We arrived, briefly spoke about it with the family, and ignored it. We have spoken about it 2 to 3 times. My dad is either convinced that we went through a time vortex, got abducted, or we jokingly were drugged by our stepmom. She's a general practitioner. My stepmom says we must have gotten the time wrong, or at worst had a shared delusion or amnesia. Either way, we don't know what happened. "Be seated," the chief surgeon shouted. "You have missed a full week of classes." The girl tried not to faint as a second-year student dissected her mother's corpse. She had not been told her body would be donated to medical science. And with that, our time together is coming to an end. First, if you have a story you'd like me to narrate, there are 3 ways you can send it my way, either through my subreddit, my email address, or my website. All the links are down below for you guys. Second, I'd like to thank my Patreons and members, whose names are on screen right now, for your support of this channel. Thank you guys so much as always. Last but never least, I'd like to thank all the writers who let me read their stories this evening. We had 8 Glitch in the Matrix stories, all with different kind of glitches. Whether things are moving, or getting lost, or frozen in time, or even going into parallel universes. Each one are very interesting to me, and I always find them fascinating, but I've told you guys this every time. For everyone who'd let me read their stories, I hope you all stay safe, don't see any more glitches, and also get to stay in your own universe. Thank you guys so much. If you enjoyed these stories, hit that like button and make sure it feels it. If you're new, please subscribe and turn that pretty little bell to all notifications. And, of course, I would love a comment. Tell me what stories you liked, which ones you would like in the future, and anything else you'd like to do. If you're on the podcast, please leave me a review if you can, and if you're on Spotify, there are of course questions that you can answer if you like, as well as use that section for your comments. If you'd like to help this podcast/channel grow, please share it with anyone who might enjoy it. It helps quite a bit. If you'd like to help support like the other people I mentioned earlier, well, I do have Patreon and memberships where you get early access and a few other bonuses for helping support this channel/podcast. Also, if you'd like to do a one-time tip kind of thing, I do have Patreon, Buy Me a Coffee, and Super Thanks on YouTube. None of this is ever expected, but always appreciated. Truth be told, you guys just watching and listening always has been and always will mean the world to me. I like to know that others enjoyed the stories I'd like to narrate for you. Sleep tight and don't let 42 bite.